Welcome, High Falutin Ski Bum podcast, episode number 271. The trifecta, the triumvirate, the musketeers together. Your pals, Mario, Steve, and Brian. Gentlemen, welcome. And Steve, special welcome.
All right.
This is the original,
boys. That's
the original
OG.
crew.
It's a lot of episodes. You guys are amazing.
We don't care if no one
studio
listens. We just keep on doing it because one day we want to be the 10-year overnight success. That's our goal.
There you
That's
go.
the plan. We're working on
You're
it.
well on your way.
Hey, man, we get some free swag, some free ski trips out of it. You could do worse, right?
That's right.
You could do worse.
All right, so I got to finish our conversation from before season 6, Curb. That's where you got to start.
Season 6 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. If anyone else is
Okay.
playing along at home, is that
Season 5 was good too.
Was that the Katrina season? Season 6?
Season 6, that's where Leon comes in,
Okay.
who is now the Caesar guy with Halle Berry.
The betting commercial. Yeah,
betting commercial.
He plays Caesar in those Caesar's gambling app.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Commercials.
funny.
He's come a
I love
long
JD
way, man.
Smoove.
He
Yeah.
has come a long way.
He was on the Real Husbands of Hollywood. That was hilarious. Hilarious spoof.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. We do appreciate it. Check us out, skibumpodcast.com. We're on your favorite podcasting apps. Follow us on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Untapped, at Ski Bum Podcast, YouTube. So if you
I
are
just saw
following us
last week.
on
We're on YouTube.
yes. So before
Fancy
this,
graphics and everything.
well, before this, it was a little sparse. We'd occasionally put the interviews out there, maybe throw a raw copy of the podcast out there. There wasn't a lot of love. It was just kind of,
The raw dog in it was good. For a while, I was like re-editing them, and it was just too much work, so I just stopped.
Well, I decided to actually learn how to use Premiere. And what I've been doing now, well,
Is it easy to do?
I mean, for someone like me who's really smart, it's not too bad.
All right.
Well, joking, of course. I use like all
It would
the other
just take
Adobe
me so
products.
much time because I'd have to download it, edit it in iMovie, and I was like, this is just killing me.
Well, I already know how to use a lot of the Adobe products, and it's not too different. And I already edit the podcast using Adobe Audition.
So you do it while you're editing.
Well, what I'm doing, I'm just editing the video instead of
Nice.
the audio, so I can just pull the audio out and put that to the podcasting apps. And then I have a fully edited video, and I learned how to put some interlude graphics and music in. So I put that up on YouTube. So now
Nice.
you can watch this insanity if you are so inclined. So just go to YouTube and check us out. Ski Bum Podcast there too.
It looked pretty good. I was like, whoa, look at that. You even have the section cuts and everything. I was like, oh, yeah.
I'm a man of many talents. What can I say? Also, email. Send us one. skibumpodcast@gmail.com. If you want stickers, if you just want to tell us we suck or we're awesome, like we're here for that. We're just, you know what? A lot of it, whatever you're saying to us about us, you just kind of look in the mirror and telling us that. So good and bad. Maybe check out yourself first, then send us the email.
If you want to send us a little cash, you could send it to us. We have a PayPal account.
We have a
right?
PayPal account, and we have a couple people who are doing a monthly payment. And huge thank you, Nelson. We love you. You've been doing this for a long time. God bless you. Thank you so much. You can also go and do that too.
I got to reach out to Nelson because he's in this neck of woods, right?
You guys should have a Florida ski party.
Well, Florida meetup, and then we go skiing.
That's the move. That's what I'm telling you.
Boom.
That's a good idea. Huge shout out.
Over Gatlinburg again.
Over Gatlinburg. Maybe you should get like a bus.
That's it.
Have like
just
the
bus
ski
over,
bum
man.
bus from
Dude,
Florida.
rent a van and just freaking party.
Did we
party
miss
van.
Urban Ski Weekend?
I don't know if they had it because of COVID. Well, no, it's February usually.
There's no COVID in Tennessee. They haven't paid attention.
There really isn't.
They hadn't paid attention from the start. They don't even give a damn. You think Dolly Parton cares? She's not wearing a mask. She's too fine. Even she's like 80 years old.
It really
They don't
isn't.
give a damn. Pigeon
yeah.
Forge. They ain't wearing masks.
Oh, Urban
Did I
Ski
read
Weekend
correctly
as
that she's-
seen on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta.
Look at that. And who was talking about this like 5 years ago?
It's coming next week,
Your pals.
February 4th.
Your pals were talking about it. Wasn't it usually Super Bowl weekend?
Yeah, and then they moved the Super Bowl. They added a game.
Add an extra week, yeah.
So now it's you can still watch the Super Bowl afterwards, but
And we want to give a big, we're so sorry to our fans and the friends in the Buffalo area. Goddamn, you know, Holiday Valley, Ellicottville, met some great people there. A lot of Bills fans. That's a rough one, man. Like, I was going to short Home Depot stock this morning because of all the non-tables that we're going to get bought over the next 2 weeks. Because had Buffalo won, I mean, there would have been just
Craziness.
pallets of folding tables would have been purchased. So
That's right.
that was a rough one, man. Josh Allen deserves better, but Mahomes, Texas Tech, he's a beast.
That was crazy.
What are you going to do? That was rough.
Crazy.
That was harsh.
And then I had to sit through Tampa with a horrible first half.
Oof.
Yeah,
What's going on?
Almost
It
got
was
it,
crazy.
though. Almost.
It's been a crazy weekend.
It was a great NFL weekend.
It was
That's for
great,
sure.
yeah.
Speaking of great sponsors, thank you so much, Terracea, back in the game. Terracea.com, TERRACEA.com. Premium cold weather solutions. Their mission to create best-in-class apparel that can be worn in any cold temperature environment, designed with thoughtful features and fit, and always providing the optimal level of performance for whatever you are doing. Pockets, they got plenty of them. Love them. Showed the puffer last week. Only can see a little bit now. This thing, super
I just
high
got
quality,
mine this week. They
super
just
warm.
hooked me up.
Great stuff. If you want 15% off, Terracea.com, use the code TerraceaBum, all one word, TERRACEABUM, 15% off. Thank you, Terracea. Also, thank you, Paradise Skis, ParadiseSkis.com. They make seriously fun skis. They are all about making skiing as fun as possible, whether that's shredding laps in Hawaiian shirts, bringing the parking lot après, or getting up early to go for that huge backcountry objective. It's our mission to build skis and snowboards that allow our customers to enjoy every single day in the mountains. Go to ParadiseSkis.com. Use the code SKIBUM15, 15% off. They got the reds, resort. They got the blue, backcountry. They got the green, the split board. Check them out. You'll love them. ParadiseSkis.com. Thank you. Let's kick it off the way we always do.
It's time for Après Today.
So, Steve, as our guest, would you care to go first on this lovely Après today?
Sure, I'll jump in first. And this is a beer that's been around for a few years now. They really make a headway. It's Wrench. It's from Industrial Arts.
The Wrench, nice.
Yeah, big fan of this beer. Everyone that I introduced this to really loves it. It's very available.
All the high school girls, they love it, right?
Yeah.
Has a hint of roofie in there.
They're the sophisticated palates of these field hockey players.
That's right.
So yeah, big fan of Industrial Arts, and they make some great stuff. And this was my favorite. This is the Hazy Indian Pale Ale.
Nice. That's a single, like a regular IPA, right?
It's a regular IPA, but it's a 7.7. So it's strong, but it's not crazy, and it's actually pretty smooth.
Nice. Yeah, and a Wrench is like kind of their signature one. Then they have Torque Wrench too, which I think is a double.
Yeah.
I think Rem brought up some Wrench when we were up at the ski house one time. It's pretty good stuff.
Did. Shout out to Rem. Dumpster Boys.
The Dumpster Boys ride again.
Dumpster Boys ride again. Unless, Steve, you have any other words, tasting notes, anything you else want to share?
No, other than I'm going to just turn my glass the other way because that's a terrible, terrible glass.
Hey, they got a good draft this year, right? We got to bank on the draft.
The Giants, are going to another coach. So that would be
You've got
fourth
the
time
Giants,
in 7 years.
You got the Giants on one side and Bud Light on the other side. I mean, you really...
That says
it's
it all.
not good either way, right? It's
stuck in the middle with you.
It's a terrible glass.
Could be worse.
Gotta go.
Yeah. Mario,
awesome.
What do you have today?
So I went to a good little favorite that I had in the fridge. Going with the Sierra Nevada Hazy Little Thing.
Saw
IPA.
that.
Nice.
So love this one. This is this has been around for a while.
Is that a session IPA?
It tastes a little bit like a session, but it has like a little fruity flavor, a little citrusy. Really good drinking though. Not too bad on your stomach. So the amount of hops in there isn't super high. Let me see the IBUs on this. But it's like 6.7. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So 6.7. It's a solid IPA. It's not a light. It's not too hard. But this is drinkable. Like some of the other IPAs, I love my IPAs, but sometimes they just kill my stomach. So this is one that you can kind of lay back with and be like, all right, it's a normal night. Have a few of these, Had a little wine before, had a little, I was telling Brian, a little Costco Malbec. Then I finishing it off with
Can't go wrong with that.
hazy little IPA.
Look at you. It's quite the little Monday you're having there.
Hey, that's a Monday.
That is a Monday.
I got to slow shit down because it's going to be a long, rough week. Saturday, we're going out to a brewery. Like, there's a lot of breweries down here. There's some more moving into town. So it doesn't end. The weekends are a little rough because there's a lot of good beers on tap everywhere. So I got to start taking some of that, bringing it to the podcast. We'll see.
There you go.
I got to make it an initiative. The Florida First Initiative.
If you go to the Sierra Nevada website and you go to the Hazy Little Thing page, they actually have some recipes. If you would like to make a Hazy Little Thing IPA beef slider recipe for that.
Look at that.
How about some Hazy Little Thing pineapple fried rice, which actually sounds amazing.
Ooh,
or Hazy Little Thing sriracha grilled pork shoulder.
That's right, my jam right there.
This is value add. This is what you put on your website. We have no recipes.
You make that pork shoulder and then you put on a nice Cuban sandwich. Boom.
Look at that.
Boom.
I still think an amazing idea for a restaurant or probably a food truck would be better, is just everything served on Cheddar Bay biscuits, like the Red Lobster biscuits. Like, imagine you had everything served on those.
You want to hear something funny about that? So last week I was in the store. They had a Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuit mix in the store, and I bought it. I was like, I'm going to feel like having Cheddar Bay biscuits one day, and I've been staying away from carbs except, on occasion, the beers and stuff. But I'm thinking I'm going to make them and just eat them all in one sitting.
We'll think about perhaps if you had a Hazy Little Thing sriracha grilled pork shoulder Cheddar Bay biscuit sandwich.
Yeah, just make a big biscuit. Make them big.
They're like
little biscuits.
Full size.
Gigantic ones, just sandwich size.
Like 10-inch skillet size.
I'm thinking.
How about a burger on there? Why not? Let's get weird.
No, do the pork shoulder and do the Cuban on the Cheddar Bay biscuit.
And then you put that in the panini machine.
That's dark magic right there.
Can you panini-fy a Cheddar Bay biscuit?
You can panini anything. We had a Snack Master when I was in college. We Snack Mastered everything. Remember those things? You get the pieces of bread, you put whatever, and you just squish it.
I was like two triangles out of it?
Yeah, it'd be like leftovers, like mac and cheese. Yeah, put that in there. Freaking meatballs, boom. Leftover pizza, right in there. Works too.
Right. So mac and cheese, Cheddar Bay biscuit, panini-fy it, batter it, and fry it.
Oh, there you go.
Is that the world's perfect food?
What's that on Monte Cristo, where they put the little jam in it and they fry it? They deep fry it.
Panini Cheddar Bay biscuit sandwich, wrap it in bacon, batter it, and fry it.
Dude, if you had a heart surgeon on call, you could eat like fried stuff every day. Just a deep fryer. Everything deep fried.
Why can't they 3D print hearts? Like, imagine you just had like a fridge full of hearts. And you're
That's
like,
right.
I went to Costco and got lard. I'm just going to put it on everything.
Dude, you go to Costco, you get like a 3-pack of hearts.
We laugh now, but I promise you, in like 30 years, they're going to have that.
Costco surgery. Amazon Prime surgery. They just fly in a drone, does a little heart surgery, and flies out. And
we're going to remember how like Napster, you'd be downloading music? We're going to download like recipes for hearts for your 3D printer so you can make your own.
Boom. Yeah, mine doesn't even have a beat anymore. I actually saw one, they have a heart that is just like, not a filter, but just like it goes continually. It's like an engine, like a little jet engine, and there's no heartbeat. It just goes zzz, and that's
I want a Hemi. Like, I don't want a little engine. I want
a Hemi. That's like a racing
engine.
Heart.
Yeah. I want like a Usain Bolt.
You're just always going. Flow through.
Wouldn't that be so cool if you could actually, because perhaps in the future we'll get to a point where we can download body parts from people at particular times.
Well, how about preemptively getting a heart transplant at like 60? Boom. Yeah, I got a healthy heart, but I'm going to transplant it just in case.
Like some kid committed suicide and I got his heart.
That's
so
like
really you're turning a failure into a success.
There you go. Well, kids now that are like promising pitchers, they actually are getting the Tommy John surgery on a healthy arm so that they can avoid having to have it later on.
Wasn't that the plot of Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
right. Kid like got the surgery and he's throwing like 130 miles an hour.
And then it snapped and that was it. The game was over.
I remember as a kid watching baseball, and they're like, "Up, Tommy John surgery," and the guy's like, "He'll be out for like 3 years."
Yeah.
Won't be
Now
the
they're like,
same.
"Nah, we're good. We got little nano things going in there. You're good."
That's so crazy
Ryan,
how
I
that's
thought you were
changed.
going a totally different direction with that, where you could like, grab body parts from like young people. Like I
I
want the boobs of a 20-year-old, and I'm
Boom.
50.
It's like I want to get the Kate Upton 2012 boobs,
Right.
right? Like those boobs. That's like as
Those
good as it got.
boobs.
Yeah.
Right.
Perhaps
I'm
I'm telling you, we can go back in time and we can get the parts of the people we
Once we
want.
start building those into like little petri dishes, you could be like, all right, this is the Kate Upton model. Just build them.
Yeah.
Well,
like, I
and
wanna-
if surgery becomes really good, you could switch out, switch out parts quickly. Like, I'm going to a big party. I'm going to go with the, I'm going to go with the 9-iron instead of the, 5-iron. Got your little bag of dicks. You're like, go with the 5-iron.
I'm working on my
Bring out
short
the-
game.
So that would be like the difference of you going to Chinatown versus Harlem.
Well, you're going out like with the family. You just want the regular size one. You don't want the big junk.
Right. Well, what if you
You're
mix
not
it up
hitting
and-
big on that day.
You want to be aerodynamic, it's like mini golf. You can go play
That's
mini
right.
golf sometimes. You're not always, doing a long drive competition.
Let's say you're in a swimming competition. You going with the smallest one you can get.
Aerodynamics,
Aerodynamics.
right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, this is spiraled off the rails already, so I'm going to go with my après. And I am a proper British lady today because I have some wonderful throat coat tea. Everyone in my house is sick. My son decides his new favorite thing is to go right into your face and like kind of spit in your face, but like not like spit, but like be like "Bleh," and like just spit. And he's like, "Daddy,
Spittle.
cool your toothbrush. It vibrates," and like just starts brushing his teeth with like my toothbrush. And I'm too lazy to try to clean it, so I just use it. So everyone's sick because of that. And shout out to my sister who gave me this lovely Stay Cozy Yeti cup.
Nice.
Originally, I was like, what are they going to do with this? I have my dope Ski Bum podcast Yeti 20-ounce tumbler. And I found this is perfect for nighttime tea because that's the top. So you
Nice.
put your tea in there, close it up, get it to seep. But as we talked about a few episodes ago, I bought a handle of Grand Marnier. Do you know how big a handle of Grand Marnier is? Like, this is...
You usually don't drink a
most-
lot of Grand Marnier. Who drinks Grand Marnier like on the rocks? Like, give me 2 fingers of Grand Marnier with a cube.
This is
that never
so
happens.
much Grand Marnier. And if you can see me shaking it here, I've actually put a pretty sizable dent in it in less than a month. So this may be gone by the summer because, again,
Dude, that's a
summer-
4-year bottle. I'm calling it right now.
dude, this is going to be done this year, which is madness. Because again, I didn't really know what Grand Marnier was till you brought up the blueberry tea recipe, which I
Yeah.
will tell you, we've gotten feedback. People are psyched about the blueberry tea.
Have they tried it?
They've tried it.
Awesome.
They're about to try it because winter.
Awesome.
Steve, if you're not familiar, it's a orange pico tea, right? It's like a black tea.
Yeah, which is
with-
just a different type of Earl Grey. So I thought it was orange tea. I looked it up. Orange pico is just a type of like a breakfast tea. So you got English breakfast. Earl Grey is like a good substitute, but it's a black tea.
So you take that. Now they say 4 ounces, which is nothing, and then an ounce of Grand Marnier and an ounce of Amaretto, which is a ridiculous tea to booze ratio.
Oh, and you drink it, it tastes like blueberries.
That's interesting. Really?
It's
I'll send
very
you the
interesting.
recipe.
Interesting.
So Melanie used to have that. So she grew up in Winnipeg, which is cold as nuts, and they used to make it there all the time. She said you'd be out of the bar and it's like negative whatever, negative 2 million degrees out. The
Yeah.
cars are free. Like she literally said when they were in high school, they would leave the car running, go into the bar, and people would go back out to check that the car wasn't blown up or was still running, because otherwise your engine block would just freeze up. So you're in an area that cold. They're like, so you go to the bar and they're like, yeah, give me a blueberry tea. And they'd be like, all right, little boop, 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 boop. And there you go. Get a nice little warm like totty
Right.
to keep
I
it
like
going.
their dedication to drink. They're like, yeah, the car, we can't turn the car off, but we have to
Yeah.
go out
Right.
and drink. That's
She's like-
how Canada used to be.
She said you used to take turns. People would run out. You didn't, nobody had these fancy engine warmers or anything like that. It's like, no, we just kept the car running.
So what Grand Marnier
That
even
worked.
is, it is cognac and orange liqueur mixed together, which I didn't
Right.
know that. When I first tried the recipe, I used Cointreau, which is a little sweeter.
Similar.
It's just the orange liqueur. When you
Yeah.
have the cognac in there, you get a little bit of a.
Mm.
I mean, I don't think whiskey is really the right taste. I mean, it kind of.
Well, cognac is like
How would you
Hennessy, like
describe cognac?
it's a fortified wine, isn't it? Cognac.
Is that what it is?
Whereas whiskey is
Because they
from
make
grain.
it with grapes. Yeah, I think it's like almost like whiskey made with grapes.
Right. It's
Right.
like, and they add out like I forgot what they do. They add sugar or something to get the alcohol up.
That sounds about right. But yeah, so I've been putting a couple drops in my tea when I have tea at night, and I like it. God damn it. So that's what I'm having now. A little throat coat tea with some Grand Marnier, like a
Nice.
proper British grandmother.
And you said, Mario, the Pico tea is just an orange tea?
No, orange pico. It's a type of black tea, I believe.
Okay.
They say orange pico because it's like I guess the flowers on it are orange or something. I don't know. I was reading on the box in the store looking for it. Like I thought it was going to be orange flavored, but
Orange Pico black tea.
yeah, it's a type
I
of
like
black tea.
how it's like a 50-50 blend.
You know, I guess if you get into like real tea, like they know like because what was I looking at? I forgot what brand. I don't know. It was Bigelow or one of the other ones, and they actually had because they have their English breakfast tea, late breakfast tea. Then they have orange pico. They have another one like Earl Grey. Like so, there's all these different levels. They're just different types of black tea, but I guess they have different flavor properties. So I never got that big into tea, but I'm like, that's pretty good to learn. Like it's pretty interesting.
My sister-in-law works for a tea company, a tea importing company, and
Yeah,
when you bring up anything like celestial seasonings or herb tea, like that's all crap.
she hates it, right?
Well, it's all just it's
Yeah.
not really tea. It's crap. It's like flowers and stuff.
It's
When like
mixed
you
up
actually
crap.
when you really have tea, you know, it's green and black. That's all it is. Just different. And oolong. I think there's like 3 kinds, but there's different.
Oolong's a type of black,
Is
I
it?
believe. Yeah,
I thought it was
it's all
evergreen,
black tea,
but I have
black
no
and green.
idea. Yeah. So if you're gonna tea rabbit hole, do that on your own. We're not going there right now. You've heard enough of us rambling and ranting about beverages at this point.
Oh, oolong is from the leaves of the Camellia sinensis plant, which is the same plant used to make green tea and black tea. So
Look
I guess
at
depends
that.
when they harvest it. Very interesting.
Look how much you can learn on this show.
Crazy shit. Dropping knowledge all over the place.
Yes. Well, with that, drop
We're
more
carpet
knowledge.
bombing the knowledge on people here.
Yes, and with that,
Let's go to ski news.
Before we start, I just want to mention honorably, Urban Ski Weekend is coming up next weekend, February 4th, as seen on Love and Hip Hop in Atlanta. Just wanted to mention that.
we've
I
been
was looking
talking
to try
about
to get
this
tickets
for at
us.
least 5 years.
Yeah.
At least. We still haven't gone.
So we get tickets we wouldn't go for the $85 tickets. We'd go for the $250, which would be the VIP entry into all the after parties and maybe some skiing in there. I don't know.
Maybe some skiing. We had a really late opening down there in Oberg-Gatlinburg this year. I think it opened like 2 weeks ago or something.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Dope as hell, though.
Yep. You know.
Yeah, I was there.
All right. So first story, which is an unfortunate one. French actor Gaspard Ulliel. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. I hope so. 37 dies after ski accident.
Mm.
So French actor is known for appearing in Chanel perfume ads as well as film and television roles. Died last Wednesday after a skiing accident in the Alps, local authorities said. 37 years old.
Yeah, he was young.
Yeah, portrayed young Hannibal Lecter in 2007's Hannibal Rising.
Oh, yeah. If you see his picture, you're like, I know this. I recognize the guy.
Yeah, he was fashion mogul Yves Saint Laurent in a biopic of him. And he was in the upcoming Marvel series Moon Knight.
Yeah, that's where. Yes.
So it said he was skiing last Tuesday afternoon at La Rosière Resort. He collided with another skier on an intermediate slope after turning left, presumably to join his friends on an adjoining slope, which was the prosecutor in Albertville, said in a statement on Wednesday. Preliminary findings from an investigation indicated that both skiers fell to the ground after the collision, the prosecutor said. But Ulil was motionless and unconscious when rescuers arrived, while the other skier was unharmed. That's kind of crazy.
Damn.
And I was looking, and I didn't see if they said that he had a helmet on or not, because if you put his name into Google, one of the first things that comes back is, was he wearing a helmet?
That's a good question.
They said weather was perfect at the time of the accident. There were no rocks in the area of the collision. He was transported by hospital to the Grenoble University, by helicopter to the Grenoble University Hospital, where doctors tried to revive him. Pronounced dead on Wednesday, shortly after 4 p.m.
Damn.
Yeah.
Head trauma. It's a rough one.
So a couple comments there that I think is I don't know if you guys have talked about this already, but on the way up to all the resorts in Colorado, now there's all those legal billboards, like if you're injured, but they actually say if you are in a skiing or snowboarding collision, call our office.
Wow.
There's a growing number of people that are suing each other for these events, these such collisions.
So they're not suing the resorts, they're suing each other personally.
Well, the Warriors are probably suing whoever can give the most amount of money. But it is to the point where there's billboard signs on whatever that route was it Route 70 up. Yeah, on Route 70. There's a slew of billboards that just popped up over the last 2 years.
Wow.
I remember when we were out in Park City back in 2017, seeing signs for that in the town bus. All these lawyer advertisements. Yeah. That's also too. That's where what's her name? Gwyneth Paltrow got into that accident, was being sued for like $4 million.
Wow.
For hitting somebody.
Yeah, at Deer Valley.
That's classic.
Of course.
Classic, yeah. Damn.
Yeah, but they were saying that after that accident, the Mountain Police Service at the ski area said its personnel had been carrying out 5 or 6 rescues per day as the snow hardened. And also in the neighboring Haute Savoy region, a 5-year-old girl was killed Saturday when a skier crashed into her.
Jeez.
The man was
so they're blaming hard conditions on all these accidents. Like, what would they think of in the Northeast, right? Like, there's ice everywhere.
Yeah,
it's not hard packed powder. It's ice.
Like, you just wonder. I mean, there is no mention if he was wearing a helmet or anything else. I mean, they said that they recommend people wear helmets, but there's no rule for it. I mean, like, what even could have happened? Like it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing. Is anyone going to say that? Like, was he wearing a helmet? And I mean, that's a major difference whether he was wearing a helmet or not. Someone did an analogy the other day with me, and they compared skiing to football, and they said one of the fastest people that can run in football is like 23 miles an hour, right? I mean, 24 miles an hour for about 45 to 60 seconds. That's like a phenomenal football player. Yeah. An average skier goes 35 to 40, average. And when they hit each other, they're not wearing any pads. And then when they land, they're landing on ice.
Yeah.
So, and football players get hurt all the time. Football players are getting concussions all the time. And they're wearing all pads, and they go half as fast, and they land on some kind of surface that is not hard, and it's meant to slide, and it's not cold. So
it's almost like playing hockey with no pads.
Right.
Yeah, really.
Well, let me ask this. So with everybody wearing, so I remember years ago when I first started wearing a helmet, I was like, I'm going to go do some big skiing. My first trip to Europe, I'm like, I'm going to start wearing a helmet. Around that time, a lot of people started wearing helmets. It was growing. It was about 50-50, maybe less than 50% people wore a helmet. So I remember getting the helmet, and one of the comments that somebody said to me when I was getting it, they were like, well, you're going to find out you're a lot warmer. And I was like, that's great, because when I wore a ski hat, it would always shift around. I'd always be playing with the hat. And then, your ears would get cold, and then you have to shift and everything. You could hear better, but it was still more annoying overall with a hat. And then I started with the helmet. I was like, oh, this is great. And over the years, I think a lot of people make comments like, oh, do you bomb down the hill? I'm like, no, I like skiing. I go down, I do some shit, and then I kind of rest a little. And every once in a while, I want to get a little bit of speed. But I almost wonder now, like psychologically, do you think people just have this mentality that I'm wearing a helmet, I go as fast as I want? Right? Like,
Absolutely.
Maybe
so they're
not as
just
fast as you want, but you're definitely
It's
less risk averse or
you
more
go
risk averse
faster
Yeah.
than you normally would have without a helmet, maybe.
because you're protected. Yeah.
Or you think you're protected, right? But how well you're protected with a helmet, so your head's protected, but you could still crack your neck or break your spine, or you know what I mean? Like that
Fall off a
hasn't
cliff,
changed.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So I kind of wonder like how much of that, because I hear people say like, oh yeah, I'm going to try to go 70 miles an hour down a hill. I'm like, why? Are you racing? Like if you're not racing, why are you going that fast? You want to get
Because you
speed?
have your Ski Tracks app and you want to show it off to your pussy friends.
That's
Exactly.
right, exactly. You
Which
want
is
to beat
just
that
sad.
record.
Yeah. Now, if you shut the app
Also
off and you
sad,
just
it's
want to go
fun.
fast, that's a different story.
That's like, bro, I was probably going like 80. Like probably. Like I could tell.
And most of those people are like, that was on the car ride home and they forgot to shut the app off. Look at me, man. I did 80 for like
We've
20 minutes.
all been there. Yes. No, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, it really doesn't make sense. But if you think about skiing in general, there's no need to go up that mountain. There's no need in the first place. Why are we doing it? Because there's some sort of thrill we get from it, some adrenaline rush, some feeling of freedom that is really tough to get anywhere else. Like, what other sport could you do where you just get this? You can go basically as fast as you want, and whatever happens is on you. You know, like, I mean, cycling to a degree, I guess, as well, right? But you're not playing with gravity the way you are. You're dancing with gravity in skiing. And it's
Wingsuit,
just,
bro. Wingsuit.
oh,
You got to wingsuit
goddamn.
that shit.
That's some next level stuff. But I think if you want to talk about, deaths, I think that sport probably has to have one of the highest percentages of deaths per participant of any sport.
Yeah. If you talk about like UFC or boxing, I think relatively low because it's controlled versus something like wingsuiting or, right? Like crazy skiing.
Yeah, well, I think
boarding.
boxing, football, UFC, those kind of sports, you may not have the deaths, but you have the
injuries.
impaired living
Yeah.
down the line. Like if you get the CTE, the head trauma, you may not feel it when you're 28, but when you're 48, you're starting to slur your words. You're getting early onset dementia. Like that's when that stuff kind of kicks in. The head trauma. That's what you don't want in any case, in any sport. So
I mean, Steve, you're ski patrol now, so you learned about this. Like somebody falls like on the mountain. That's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's happened over the last 10 years is there was a time where on a Saturday, the helicopter pilots, which is Advanced Life Support, ALS, would have a chalkboard. And they would, for every concussion, they would put a line. And pretty much every Saturday, there was 10 to 15 concussions.
Wow.
And all those concussions, they're picking the person up, they're flying them to the hospital, and they're flying back. So they would do 10 flights. And since the advent of helmets and the popularity of helmets, they don't have the chalkboard anymore. They don't even, because it's so infrequent.
Wow.
When they're called in, because people are doing bigger stuff, serious injuries. It's back injuries. It's broken ribs. Head injuries that are serious head injuries, where there could be a hemorrhage. But it is interesting. Their travels to and from the resorts is less, but when they do, it's really serious.
Wow. That's interesting.
So what's happening is the common person making a mistake, making an error, falling down, hitting their head, they're not getting as many concussions. So I mean, the helmets are absolutely saving you from concussions.
Wow.
But you were saying earlier, as far as a false sense of security, yeah, I think we all put on pads. We have a false sense of security, and
You feel like a
you know, the stuff
superhero.
yeah, and the stuff that they're doing now, these jumps that are all set up at all these places. I mean, it's spectacular. I remember when I was a kid, the ski patroller took my pass away because my skis went like a foot off the ground.
Yeah. Oh, you're jumping.
I
There's no
got
jumping here. I remember that. They'd pull your pass.
yeah, it's awesome. Now the resorts create these ridiculous tabletops. It's unbelievable.
They're like,
And
we're in
I'd say I
Crested
love
Butte,
it.
and they were creating
I
that.
love watching the kids. I mean,
Yeah.
they do some phenomenal jumps. It's amazing what they do.
But we'll be out, like we were in Crested Butte 2 weeks ago, and they were creating the big air jumps. And we
Yeah,
were asking them, like, what's that for? They're like, no, they just create a big park. They have a small park and a big park. And people, they were saying there's like a group of following that goes and they hit those big jumps. I'm like, we would have never done that. Like, we never even, that was out of even the realm of thinking, you know?
Well, that actually is a great segue into the next story, which kind of going out of order, but it's the new order now. This past weekend, X Games Aspen took place. I don't know if did you guys check any of it out?
I saw some of the big air snowboard and I
Mhm.
was like, I can't even, as I get older, I'm like, I just shake my head. I'm like, I don't know. I can't even relate because I wasn't brought up that way. Like, now you're brought up like thinking, oh, I want to get big air. Like, you know,
Like back in the day, Big Air was
Different.
like 3 feet.
yeah.
And then you're
Yeah.
watching these, like I just sit there, like I was watching the skiing half pipe last night, and I'm watching them, and you know, we've skied in the half pipe, and it's pathetic, and we understand that. We just go in, but these guys, like, it's like, yeah, they're doing like a 1640 and then like a triple backflip and a twist, and it's like they're landing it and they're doing more, and it's just like you mentioned, you watch like the original X Games in like the mid late 90s, and it's like what they're doing is like nothing. Like these guys now who are competing, they were doing that when they were like 7 years old. And
Yeah,
it's
incredible.
incredible. Like it's so much fun to watch. It's so inspiring. It's so cool. But it's also
It's interesting, the X Games, because it's almost a mix of skiing and boarding with like gymnastics, right? Because like some of the stuff they do is
For
really
sure.
acrobatic gymnastic stuff that they obviously train, off season on too. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I always find interesting when they have those Red Bull specials sometimes, and they show kind of the training process. I remember like the big deal was Shaun White when he had that half pipe built in the middle of somewhere in Colorado, like the middle of nowhere. Like they built that out for him so he could personally practice and train on it and bring all these tricks out and stuff.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. And they were showing that Tess Ledoux, she became the first woman to land a double cork 1620 in the women's ski big air. And
Damn.
she also was the first woman to win gold in big ski air and ski slopeside, which is
Damn.
awesome.
It's incredible. It is.
Mark McMorris won men's snowboard slopestyle and moved into a tie for 5th with 12 X Games medals. They're also showing that Gus Kenworthy, he's like retired at the the old balls age of 30 years old. He's like, it's my last one. He's like, I'm done.
Well, Shaun White is competing in this next Olympics
He is, which is
at
what,
35.
2 weeks out. 35. Yep. Old balls Shaun White, 35
His
years
fifth
old.
Winter Olympic Games, they said.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, they had a commercial. I think I saw it like yesterday or today. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, so last night, so Sunday was, we're recording this on Monday. Sunday was like crazy sports day because you had that Chiefs Bills game, had the Tampa game, and then I watched the X Games after, and men's ski super pipe where they had Nick Porteous. He won on his last run, his second year in a row with the X Games super pipe gold, Aaron Blunk was second, and David Weiss, who was third, who won the last Olympics for the U.S. So it's cool that they're doing this. They're getting fired up, and then a lot of these guys are going right over to good old land of the free, Beijing, China, for the Olympics in a week and a half.
The land
2
of
weeks.
the free. Exactly. The only thing free is the air.
Yeah. Well,
Which is-
as long as you're wearing a mask, of course.
Which, Mario, if you want to
breathe.
take this, is another perfect segue into the next story.
Yeah. This is the athletes warned against speaking up on human rights at the Beijing Games. So I guess they're trying to put the kibosh on anybody like speaking bad about China and their human rights atrocities that they've been filmed, pinpointed, and basically proven guilty of in the minds of everybody. And social
Repeatedly,
media.
all the time. Yeah.
Right. They're saying the Rule 50 Olympic Charter is that no kind demonstration or political, religious, or radical propaganda is permitted at any Olympic site or venue or other areas. So basically anywhere. So they're not allowed to have free speech. They're not allowed to do anything to kind of, make waves there. So it's going to be very interesting because I know some people are very outspoken. So we'll see how that goes. There might be some people kicked out of the Olympics, out of Olympic Village. So it'd be pretty interesting.
Well, it's crazy too because you think about some of the most historic images of the Olympics, and you think of was it '68 in Mexico City with the guys holding up the fists with
That's
the
right.
black gloves on, and again, a lot of times it was protesting, it was making a statement, making a standing up for your beliefs, and it's just funny the way it's funny is not the right word. It's concerning the way that the media, politicians across the world are just letting China be, just trying to do what China does, and no one is saying anything. I mean, there was that, was it Chamath? I forget how to say his last name, the partial owner of the Warriors, yammering on about the Uyghurs. How he's like, this is not my problem. Like, I don't really care about the Uyghurs. Like, I've got so-and-so invested in all these companies that are making products in China, and I'm really not going to say anything. I don't really care. That's kind of how we look. I mean, look at your cell phone. Like, how at some point there was probably some child digging out one of the minerals required to make this phone, whether it's in Africa or Afghanistan.
It's a graphite shortage and lithium for the batteries, right?
Yeah. Like it's so easy for us to just turn a blind eye to this, but it just dehumanizes everything so much more if we don't at least address it and say something about it, because some people are completely unaware too. And if at least you have this massive platform and you can say something and make a statement or ask a question, even that's even the worst thing with this whole world we're in right now is people asking questions are being ridiculed and
Shut down.
deplatformed and canceled for just asking questions. And that's how you get to the authoritarian post-apocalyptic nightmares we all know from our favorite future films. Like, when we shut down thought, we shut down conversation, that's when we shut down free society.
But even worse than that is you say, okay, so China, they have all these rules, whatever, they want to hide all their dirty laundry. The IOC, why the hell are they giving the Olympics to China, right? And then they come out with all these, bribes, pay for play. Same thing happened with the World Cup, all these bribes. And then why'd you give this to this country that really has a lot of human rights violations? Like, you're supposed to be embracing the Olympics. Like, why did you do that? And, they do some fancy press conference, and behind the scenes there's all this payola that they deny, and no, this, they discredit it, and it's all true.
It's 100%
the guy with
true.
the onion article.
Yeah, I mean,
he's
like, the mere fact that the statement was out there is disturbing. Think about it. In any other country, if this was in France, or how about if it was in Germany, like, hey, just so you know, you're not allowed to say anything about our government, what we do. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, just the statement alone is disturbing.
Well, think about it. They
Yep.
gave this to China with all these violations, right? And they didn't give it to all these other cities that wanted it, that don't have those human rights violations, are more embracing of everybody, of sex, of color, of designation, whatever it is. But now you have the Olympics going to China and they're telling you to shut your mouth, don't say anything. It's, well, why'd you pick China? Right?
Hmm.
China
I mean-
decided to pay us this much money to get the games.
Exactly. Follow the money. That's all it is. Follow the money.
Yeah, I mean, this is twice now that China was chosen.
Yeah. They
Well, that's
That's
had,
right. Was it 2008 Summer Games?
Yeah. Mhm.
and that was Beijing also, or was that
I think so. Yeah.
was Beijing again, right?
Yeah, because they shut down all the factories then, and there was all these supply chain issues at that point. Because
There was
of
an
the Olympics.
air quality problem, right? Wasn't that a big
Well,
part
they
of it?
cleared it up.
By shutting everything down, right?
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah,
Crazy.
it's going back to the Olympics again. The whole you mentioned Germany. The 36 Berlin games when Jesse Owens, beat these German super athletes and kind of shut Mr. Mustache up for a little while.
Yeah.
Those are the events we remember when you have this authoritarian state claiming to be these superpowers, and they're the ones kind of getting crushed and losing, being put in their place. Again, I try to look at things from another point of view, especially with this whole weird Ukraine thing going on. You kind of look at like, well, how do other countries look at the US? Like, maybe we're the assholes. Maybe we're the bad guys. Like, I don't know at this point.
We
At this
were.
point, is there a good guy? Is there any good guys left anymore?
I
I
don't
think
know.
about that. I mean, if again, it's getting a little dark and heavy, but if with these COVID, the vaccine passports and all this, if America falls, if America becomes an authoritarian state, where do you go? Like, what's left? If a person who values freedom, where could you even go anymore?
Yeah.
There isn't that land to, if we take a boat across here, we'll go to this new land where we can start a new life. Like, that shit's over, baby. Like, we're in the Matrix then. That concerns me.
Yeah.
And now China,
interesting.
now, I don't know if you saw this. I just put this in a little private chat there. This is actually kind of hilarious on getting past this dark topic. China brings back anal swab testing for COVID 2 weeks before Winter Olympics.
Hey now.
Yeah, baby. I'm sorry, Miss Schifrin. You cannot enter the country yet. We have to get you swabbed.
Ain't no swabbing.
Are you for real?
Hey, man.
I didn't
if
even-
Ain't no
it's-
swab me, but I don't think it was a swab.
The communist regime claims the virus test, which involves inserting a 5-centimeter long saline soaked swab up a patient's bum and rotating it, is more accurate than other on the spot virus tests.
Jeez.
Wink, wink. I'm sorry, miss. This is just the most efficient way to do things.
And then the
Ah,
girl says, "Well, do you have to tape it to your penis when you insert it?"
It works so much better, I assure you. Do it for the
It's
greater
so much-
good.
Very
Sweetheart.
good.
I know. I don't object the test. I just don't know why you have it tied to your penis.
Chinese newspaper The Beijing News said at least 27 people underwent the anal swab test at an apartment building in Beijing, where a 26-year-old woman had caught Omicron, the city's first recorded case of the variant.
Be careful,
they
a couple
should kill
dudes
her.
get in line twice for that thing.
The invasive anal tests involve inserting a sterile cotton swab into the rectum and rotating it several times.
And it's for some reason they're only doing it to women.
Yeah, right? Dude, the
Oddly
picture.
enough, there were finger food served and some some wine and cheese and crackers.
Don't touch my egg roll, bro. Are you guys looking at the pictures on the link I sent? Because the instructions are phenomenal. The little picture of the guy like with his foot on the toilet, like pulling his cheek aside and like sticking it up there. Oh,
Yeah, what's up
so-
with that? Who makes that? Like, yeah, this really
Brought to you by
identifies what to
Pfizer.
do.
Japan is calling on China to stop using the undignified test, as some passengers said it caused them psychological distress. They're going to give you a cigarette after, like nothing.
They didn't warm it up. They just jammed it right in there.
China allegedly ordered American diplomats to undergo anal tests, sparking a row with the State Department.
And that's why they have the political boycott. Like, nope, not getting anal swabbed.
We are seriously... In response,
Idiocracy.
Lu Hongzhao, a Chinese doctor, told state media that travelers could provide a poo sample at the airport instead. What the fuck are we doing, people?
Excuse me, what do you have on you?
Just got a giant
that's a deuce in the
bag full of Duke.
I got a deuce in the bag for you.
What is wrong with us?
Omicron is the least deadly virus.
It's like getting a cold.
The last 2 years, right?
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
We're just idiots. We're lemmings and idiots. Let's put it that way.
Yes. If you want to comply and you want to get swabbed and stick something up your ass to prove you don't have some sort of cold, go do it. Otherwise, like...
So you got to stick this thing up your ass to prove that you have a disease that you don't show symptoms for and that you're not sick from.
Yes, I need a test to help me know I have something that I don't really even affect my life at all at this point.
Exactly.
It's sheer madness.
You couldn't tell that I'm sick other than shoving this thing up my anus and figuring it out from that test.
Yeah. So there you go. There's China.
Thanks, China.
Thanks, China. And one final story.
Speaking of bums.
Is the ski bum an endangered species worth saving? This is from a podcast over at Outside Network, where the author of a new book, Heather Hansman, a ski journalist extraordinaire and author of the new book, Powder Days, Ski Bums, Ski Towns, and the Future of Chasing Snow, took a magnifying glass to her own ski bum days and our industry and culture. And they also talked with editor-in-chief of Ski, Sierra Schaefer, about what a ski bum represents and what is at stake if we lose that character. And they just threw a couple of quotes from here, which I figured we would just kind of read and we can kind of have a little back and forth about it. And the book is about history of ski culture. And Sierra Schaefer said, if we lose the ski bum as that North Star, it just starts to become a very homogenous corporate production and not an experience, not like a way to find your identity. Things that are soulless like that don't live a long time. And then Galena Gleason, longtime Telluride ski bum, on the current state of ski bumming. You got to be creative. You got to be gritty, and you've got to really want to ski. If you don't have those elements in your repertoire, then the dream might not be alive for you. And then pro skier Megan Dingman on the current state of ski bumming. For me, living the dream is doing what makes me most happy. And if your hard work is required to get me there, then that is part of living the dream. I wish I could live in 1982 and just live in a snow cave and be a ski bum, but the new age ski bum, that's me. Now, our podcast, our whole ethos is about finding ski bummery at a later point in life. We're not 18. We're not just going to go, pack up and Aspen Extreme it. One of my other hobbies on the side is real estate. I own a couple of rental properties. I love looking at real estate, and I have every day I'm looking at places, whether, Jackson Hole, Big Sky, Whitefish, Idaho, Crested Butte, other parts of Colorado, Utah, any of the big ski towns. If you really want to go and bum it and go work as a lifty and make whatever the Vail's paying you $15, $18, $2 bonus, $19 an hour, you have to live in your car. Like, that's kind of where the old school classic ski bum has to live like at this point. Like, it's just become so insane just to be able to live in one of these, high-end, big vert, well-known, awesome ski towns at this point. You have to be like some sort of hedge fund guy or a tech billionaire or
right.
Like,
well, let me ask you this.
Bananas.
Even ski bums, You hear a lot of ski bums that they're either trust fund kids or they had a career and they have money saved up. They're not really truly bumming it. They're not living.
Trustafarians, yeah.
Yeah, they're not living, hand to mouth. Like it's different. It's a different type of bumming it, right? Like it's a bumming it with a fallback plan or safety net. There's some that are still out there that are doing it. Sir William, we talked to, I mean, guys are bumming it, but you also have, it depends on the safety net you have. Yeah, I could always fall back with mom and dad. I could always, crash at somebody's house. I got money to fall back on. Like, how many ski bums are true ski bums? Like, this is it. I don't have anything else. I'm following my dream.
It's so rare now. I mean,
yeah, it's
you
more
can't
rare.
It's tough to do even. And what's crazy now, again, one of the things I've been thinking about is with COVID, with so many people moving to remote jobs, the availability of apartments, buying a house, that has gotten even more competitive because so many people who used to live near the urban centers, New York, Chicago, LA, Seattle, they're like, hey man, I can do my job remote. Why am I in the city when I love skiing or boarding? I'm just going to move out to Telluride, or I'm going to move to Park City. Like, that has happened in droves. And people are like, now, like, I'm not going to go back. Why would I go back? I'm already here. I'm where I want to be. More complications for the ski bum because that limited real estate, which has been an issue for decades in some of the big towns, is now only worse. Go onto Zillow right now and put in Wilson, Wyoming, and look what you get for $2 million. You can get a small piece of land or maybe a 2-bedroom condo. That's where it's at right now. It's crazy. And if, again, you want to be that ski bum, Mario, we've talked about it dozens of times. That guy we met bartending up in Whistler, he's like, yeah, I'm living here at Whistler. And we're like, oh my God, you're living the dream. That's so awesome. He's like, bro, I was living in my car for the last year.
Yeah.
Like,
that's ski bumming it.
And I get it. If you want it, you really got to want it. But is that, I mean, how doable is that anymore?
Yeah. It is interesting how things are getting better and better as far as quality of life, connectivity, all these luxuries that we have that we take for granted. Yet 20 years ago, 30 years ago, being a ski bum was a hell of a lot easier than it is now. Like, you could go out there, 4 or 5 people could rent a house, and you might be bunking up, you might be in a living room, you might be like 3 or 4 people in the same room, maybe 5 people in the same room. Now that room doesn't even exist.
Right.
Yeah, it's a problem that's actually going to have to get solved by the resorts, which is insane, because the resorts are the ones that need the ski bum. They're the ones that need the lifties,
right.
The people that are aspiring to be maybe a great snowboarder, and they want to practice out there, and then they want to work, and they're going to work out there. When we went to Crested Butte, that was their biggest concern, was housing.
Oh yeah, every place is housing right
housing.
Now.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're right, Brian, the pandemic is crazy. It made it 10 times worse. Probably exacerbated it by 10 years.
Yeah, we had an article a couple months ago where they were talking about in Breckenridge, the hotels were, I don't know if they were actually suing Airbnb or they were trying to get some sort of, I think they were trying to get some sort of citywide ordinance or provision put forth where people, I forget if it was, they couldn't Airbnb it or it was limited to certain sizes or what. But again, once you start getting the government involved to making laws, like that's not the solution either. Like, I don't know if that's really going to lead to the optimal solution, because they'll find a way to manipulate that for the people who are making those laws. The buildings,
they're facing their own problem that they've created. So they went in with high end residents and hotels, and they took up all the land. And they built all these great places that they want to charge people $400 to $500 to $600 a night to stay, but they don't have any workers to support that. So all the amenities that come with that are in jeopardy but they created that themselves because they never planned in there to say, hey, you know what, this parcel of land, we're going to put affordable housing. We're going to put up, a whole bunch of units so that workers and people that, aren't staying here on vacation from some, high-end lifestyle can stay here, so they created their own problem and they're going to have to fix it. I agree with you. I don't think the government should get involved because it'll settle itself out, because at some point they're going to say, we don't have the workers. We're going to have to support the workers that are coming in, that work at our resort and work at our hotel and work in our town. Like, they're going to have to figure that out. The
Yeah.
government, we could do, government could do something about it, but do they have to? Right?
Hopefully not. Yeah.
If they don't want to have workers in their resort to give the amenities to the people that are paying this exorbitant amount of money to stay there for, well, they'll figure it out somehow.
Yeah. And one thing too that, again, talking about the exacerbation the last 2 years with COVID and people working remote, look at all the people now who, maybe 2 years ago look how low interest rates are. I've always wanted a condo in Breckenridge. I'm going to buy one, but I can't go there all the time. I'm going to Airbnb it out. There are so many stories of people buying places and Airbnb-ing them that I don't know if anything short of a major recession or depression is going to be able to undo that. Where, again, I don't know any metrics. I have no numbers. Maybe let's just say 40% of residencies in a town like Breckenridge are used for short-term rentals. What would it take for those people to have to give those up when people aren't traveling? They're not able to take the vacations. They're not paying for those fees. Then they have to sell them. I mean, I don't know how long that cycle has to take, if it even will happen. I mean, yes, everything does go in cycles, especially in something like real estate, but how long would that take to play out? And will it actually happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll happen, and I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier, but it is fascinating. So the people that are working at the resort are working 2 jobs for the people that are going to the resort that have 2 houses.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
nuts, right?
Well, and if you talk about the endangerment as a species of the ski bum, or you could talk about it as an evolution of the ski bum, right? There's different things in place and context with the place that they're going. Now, housing is another barrier to just saying, I'm going to drop everything and go out there because now I got to find housing and it's really hard. Well, some people are going to overcome that, and that's the evolution of the new ski bum, possibly, right? Like,
but it's almost like it's almost is a new term now, though.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you need to be a tech billionaire or something to be a bum.
Or be settled with you're going to live in your car.
Yeah.
Right?
They just announced the new Bronco Raptor, man. You could park that thing anywhere and live in it, technically.
That's it. Or you're going to stay in town and drive, instead of living in town and being that ski bum, maybe you're going to live 45 minutes outside of town.
But how much does that suck? Like, if you're someone
Sucks
who's like,
balls.
you got to be there at 4 a.m. or say you're a snowcat driver.
Yep.
You want to have to drive 40 minutes in a possibly terrible snow out, like whiteout conditions. Passes could be closed, and the resort fucking depends on you to sell their $200 a day lift tickets per person.
And the resort is going to have to solve the problem because they might not be able to open half the mountain on a powder day because all their workers are 45 minutes away and they can't get to work.
Yeah.
So it's their problem again, right?
The one thing I have to say is, it's hard to just put that on the resort, right? Like, you are responsible you're a manager, the ski industry inside and out. You know how to service your customers. You know how to be efficient. You know how to operate a great mountain. And now you're tasked with becoming a landlord, essentially. I mean, that's what's being asked of the resorts. They're like, all right, well, you need to help with housing. Yeah. They don't know how to help with housing. They're not. No, they didn't necessarily create. They created the resorts that people want to go to. They're not the ones that created the pandemic where people like you and I are buying houses in ski resorts because we always wanted to, and we could work from home. Like Vail didn't create that. Vail's not a developer necessarily. I mean, they might be
See,
in
somebody
some
like
areas,
Vail,
but
though, I would say they would have more capacity to handle that, right? They're a bigger outfit. They got more scale. They probably have their own development group, construction. Like they probably have some of that in their real estate management. Whereas like a mom and pop mountain is on a whole different, they're under a whole different pressure, you know?
Well, yeah, Vail
sure.
too.
Provide
Like
that.
they soup to nuts. They have everything. They have the mountain. They have the operations. They have the housing. They have the restaurants. That's their whole business model. Is this we keep everybody in the village, keep everyone in this general area, take all of their money that way. So they need to know it. If they're running that big of an operation, they definitely know what sort of how many employees they're going to need for each one of those operations to function.
Yeah.
And the problem is for a lot of them is they can't get enough people to do the job. And then everybody suffers.
Right.
All those 40% extra people who bought Epic passes, or was it 60% more at 20% off? I think that was the number.
Damn.
So, again, if you're going to Vail, when it's all said and done, they're taking care of their shareholders first. That's what Vail cares about. And I think that also plays into this whole ski bum thing because back then, again, it's so easy to be nostalgic about the past, but when all these resorts were owned by a family, small group, 2-3 resorts, these folks, they did this. They bought these resorts. They started them because they loved skiing. It wasn't about appeasing the shareholders. It wasn't about maximizing the profit. It was about being part of a dreamscape, about literally living the dream. Love skiing, be part of it, do what you have to do to keep your place running and to put out a great product. That Indie Pass movie we watched, In Pursuit of Soul last year with TGR and the Indie Pass folks, those little mom and pop resorts they were showing up in New England. These people, blood, sweat, and tears just to keep the place running to provide a great ski experience. The Vail model is different. And with the Vail model taking over, it has changed, like we kind of alluded to, what a ski bum is and what it can be. Because they're not prioritizing the ski experience. They're prioritizing profit, which it's the world we live in, I guess. But it's also, again, forcing perhaps a terminology change for ski bum, because I don't think it's not the way it used to be where you could just go show up at a town and figure it out. Like you really need a connection, a plan, financial backing, something. You almost need to be sponsored to be a bum now.
Well, Steve being done, I mean, we talked to Sir William and he, kind of set it up and went. He kind of did it. I think it's a little bit more forethought has to go into it. You know what I mean? Like before you go, like there's a lot of setup. There's a lot more things to think about rather than just, hey, I'm just getting in my car and leaving. I'm going to go.
Being 22 helps too.
Ride out west. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So interesting topic. I'm going to check out that podcast and see what they came up with, because it's cool seeing people who actually did it back in the day and those who are doing it now to kind of get a different perspective on what's possible.
Yeah. And
speaking of perspective, then let's roll into the main topic. So last week, Mario gave us a wonderful recap, Crested Butte, what it was like, what it was about, how skiing was there. And now your partner in crime, Steve, is able to come chime in with some additional information and hopefully some additional insight on the purpose of your guys' trip, or the purpose of Crested Butte inviting the media out there, was their sustainability initiative, right?
That was one of the big topics. Yeah, they had a few of them. Sustainability was big, and I think Steve with his other role and his other career life kind of helps. He had a lot of insight,
He's a scent
a lot
bum.
of good conversation. So it was really kind of cool. I don't think they were expecting you to have so much knowledge. Let's put it that way.
And Steve, you are muted.
Oh yeah, you're mute.
Awesome. So I'll just say, a couple things about sustainability. We were just talking about the housing. Crested Butte is known for their amazing cross-country skiing. They have a team. They have people that come there. It's an extensive
They got
trail
a huge
system.
facility there too, right?
It's huge. And when you talked about sustainability, the head of the unit was like, well, sustainability is me staying operating and having people. Like, forget about, being carbon neutral. Like, she's like, I'm trying to be sustainable just to keep the thing working because it's that difficult with people and having people be there, and the people that are making minimum wage and everything. So that was interesting, and that kind of ties into what we were just talking about with the housing situation. So yes, definitely Vail has to figure it out. They're the owner of the resort. They're the ones that are going to benefit the most. Certainly the town would work with them. We met the mayor. He's anti Airbnb. There's ways that they're not paying the proper taxes and that they should. But yeah, so what you were saying earlier, Brian, the mayor said there's definitely an assault on Airbnb in these towns because they are circumventing certain taxes and cost to the town that they're causing.
Well,
think
essentially,
about
right?
too.
The taxes are to go to the town for all the services that they provide, the free bus, the plowing, just the regular services that make the town go, you
Well, you were
know?
saying
Right.
too, Mario, too, the hotel, like with that resort fee they bang you for. I
Yeah.
mean, what is it, like 10 or 12% at least?
It was, I think
Yeah.
it's $35 a person per night, something like
Wow.
that.
Okay.
So the town wants that resort fee, and they're not able to, because they are providing a certain resort fee
Yeah.
that the Airbnb owners are not paying. So they have a lot of things in place where they will shut down Airbnbs that are not registering with the town. So you could still be an Airbnb, that's fine, but you just have to register with the town and get a permit for it, and that permit costs money. And that's for all the services that the people that are renting your home are getting, like that free bus pass, like the snow plowing, like all the things that make the
Right.
town operate when you get there. When it comes to sustainability, yeah, what Crested Butte's doing is pretty amazing. They put together a program that all their food waste, which is basically their compostable waste, is being recycled and it's going to local pig farms. It's fantastic. Vail's goal and so many people's goals are to be carbon neutral. And first of all,
I think
what does that
Vail
even
said,
mean?
what, 2035 is when they want to be carbon neutral. That's their
Right.
goal.
So a lot of people don't even like what is carbon neutral?
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what carbon credits are. You pay to be able to pollute?
Like, are you
Carbon credit.
carbon neutral in your house?
Probably
Um,
not.
so I mean, the definition of carbon neutral, which is a little bit somewhat shady, is that the amount of carbon that you put out, you take away from society. So
Offset it.
you
Yeah.
could offset it by paying credits, like you said, Brian, which ultimately people want to be in a position where they can offset it without paying credits because paying credits is really not the right thing to do. That's just saying that you're overly profitable and you're just, paying to another industry.
That's the New York
Um,
Yankees term version of it. So, yeah, we'll
yeah,
pay it. Somebody
exactly.
else will be carbon more neutral than we are.
So I will give a shout out for what they're doing in Crested Butte and probably Vail in general. They set up this program, and why it's so important is because all your organic waste, which just is food, all that waste, if you throw it into the landfill, it gets covered up by other stuff. And when it gets covered up by other stuff, it doesn't biodegrade the way it should. So you say, okay, okay, so maybe it biodegrades slower. Well, it actually biodegrades differently because it goes into an anaerobic state. And when it biodegrades, instead of carbon dioxide coming out or carbon monoxide coming out, methane comes out. And methane is 25% worse than carbon dioxide.
Hmm.
So by taking the compost and giving it to a farm, it's exposed to the oxygen and just totally biodegrades and turns into something good, fertilizer, versus putting it into the landfill. It actually turns into methane gas, which is insane. It's insane. It's something that could be really good for the environment if we put it in the right place. Could be so bad for the environment if we dispose of it the wrong way.
That explains
so
Staten Island.
Boom. And then you get Staten.
Exactly. Right. And the people from there.
One thing I don't get. So, you know, you're talking
There's
about
not a lot of skiers from Staten Island, so I don't care. I'm just going to go. I mean, they ruined the Jersey Shore.
Steve, you weren't here when we talk about garbage skiing. Arthur Kill skiing mountains of garbage.
Well, think about, we were talking about if we could go like from Big Snow and go across the Meadowlands, all the garbage. If there was like a big dump of like, say like we got like 2 feet of snow, we could do like a backcountry tour across the garbage of the Meadowlands. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
You don't want to fall, but if you ski, that would be great.
Right.
Oh, the aroma. And one thing that I'm stupid. I'll admit it. Carbon. Aren't we all made of carbon? Like, isn't that good because we're made of it? That's where I get lost. Because they
really mean carbon dioxide. I mean, to me, it means carbon dioxide.
Okay.
Right.
Because we're all carbon-based life forms.
So how could it be carbon neutral, right? What we're really talking about is the amount of carbon dioxide that you're emitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if I work from home and I ski, then I'm carbon neutral.
Boom. You're working from home. You're offsetting that footprint of driving to...
I'm living in a ski town. Let's say I can walk to the lift or I hike up. I'm being carbon neutral.
You're offsetting what you would normally
offset.
You're replacing. Yeah.
It might be a little different if you have an IPA or two, because then that might turn into like a methane gas.
It will certainly to methane gas, that's for sure.
If you have,
but if you buy
light beer,
locally brewed beer, means there's no transportation of the beer from the brewery to me.
That's true.
There you go.
That's true. That's carbon neutral.
Keeping it carbon neutral.
Yeah.
But if you buy a Bronco Raptor and just drive around for no reason, that's probably not.
You're gonna have to do something to offset.
I gotta offset that. Yeah.
You gotta offset.
Yeah.
I am not proud, but I'm probably offsetting 4 or 5 Teslas in my neighborhood.
You're reverse offsetting.
Yeah, but you're keeping it even. You're keeping it even, Steven. That's why you are even, Steven.
Yeah, you're doing this for them.
I have the new Bronco, and I'm not proud, but it gets 16 miles per gallon on a good day.
And you goddamn love it, don't you?
I do love it.
And it's awesome. Very cool.
I love that Ford came out with it. It's the same year as the Mach. So like Bronco, fuel burner, Mach.
It's just got to be done. You know?
Got to be done.
They're offsetting. They got the E-Mustang, the Mach.
See, they offset it.
It's all about
Mustang
balance.
Is not a real Mustang. That's a damn hatchback. I can't even look at that thing.
It's definitely not. It's cool, but it's definitely not a Mustang.
It's not cool. I hate it.
It's cooler than a Tesla. I don't know.
It's cool if you're over 60.
The same price.
It's actually, I was surprised how cool it was. But again, to call it a Mustang is the problem.
It just can't. You just can't.
Yeah.
I have a problem with the Porsche Cayenne too. Don't even get me started.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Don't even get me started.
Did your neighbor just get one? Did he trade his Lamborghini in for a Cayenne?
I think so.
No, Lamborghini is at least a Lamborghini. If it was a fucking hatchback Lamborghini, then again, I saw a Lamborghini SUV, full on SUV, not some crossover bullshit. That was nice.
The Urus.
The Urus.
I think it's badass. Yeah.
That was badass. Yeah.
Sick.
Just saying, certain cars, you're like, why?
You definitely have at least 10 kinds of cologne if you buy that car.
That's right. And a shirt that says the car name on your shirt.
You have a Lamborghini, like Lamborghini sneakers. So Steve, what was so this is wonderful. We all want to be carbon neutral. We want to protect the planet, keep things cold. You've been to a lot of great ski towns out in Colorado. What was your opinion of Crested Butte in general?
So I think Crested Butte is definitely made for the extreme, right? So the backcountry is ridiculous. It's awesome, and I think that anybody that's been around, they want to challenge themselves. I mean, Crested Butte offers that. A lot of places you'll hike to ski.
Yeah, they call the.
So I
it's
would.
kind of weird. They call it the steeps, right? Which are it's kind of inbounds, but it's like being backcountry a little bit. Like it's strange.
I mean, there's just so many places you can go and hike to that we didn't even tip the iceberg of. So that's pretty amazing. The town is incredibly quaint. Anybody that you want to go on a family vacation, phenomenal. I mean, that town is great, and the town and the ski resort is very manageable, and the guides available are fantastic. What it was missing could be because of COVID. My one of my best friends I work with was at Beaver Creek, and we compared notes, and she was like, I went to the Ritz-Carlton, and it was an amazing bar scene, and it was upscale, and we all had an amazing time, and there was a band, and there was a singer, and it was phenomenal. And she goes, and then we just jumped on our skis right from the Ritz-Carlton and went down to a chairlift and went back home. And I was like, that was not the time that we had,
Yeah.
right? There was no après like that. There was no, and she was there the exact same days we were. So that kind of atmosphere definitely wasn't there. And now, would it be there if the Umbrella Bar was open and a couple of other places? I don't know, maybe. But from my experience and talking to her, who went to Beaver Creek, very different. Her and we're the same age, so we're looking for the same kind of fun and excitement. And obviously, the conditions were both amazing for both of us. So that aspect, I was a little. You have to go downtown to have any kind of like excitement.
Yeah, we're up in the village. We're up in the mountain village, which is great because you wake up and you're right there. You just walk over, you're at the lift, and you just get on. If you're in the town, it's like about a 15, maybe 20-minute shuttle. Free shuttle, of course, but you're getting on the bus with your skis and all that crap.
Takes time, yeah.
Going up. So
was
reminded me a little bit about Jackson to Jackson Hole. You know what I mean?
But not like Telluride, where you have, because you had the mountain village up there, and then you had the town down below.
Yeah.
But you had
they had a
gondola that kind of took you across, right?
Right.
So kind of more spread out than a Telluride.
Yeah. We actually asked the question, like, was there any thought about having a gondola to go from, the town up to the mountain village? And they kind of laughed like, well, that would kind of ruin their busing. And, it's a whole different.
Not carbon neutral, man.
Yeah, it's just a whole different proposition. Like, I think it would be a great idea, but, that's not their jam, I guess.
That's true. You're right. Telluride, you could figure out a way to ski back home to the town.
Yeah.
We always took the chairlift there, but you could actually figure out a way to ski back to the town.
Yeah.
The Crested Butte is not even. That's not even an option.
When you look at it and actually look at the mountain, if they tried, they probably could do that. And that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
To have that, and that would grow out the town even further than the mountain village. But it wasn't far. I mean, the town is fantastic. A lot of eateries that were fun. A lot of neat little bars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if it was because of COVID or not, but certainly didn't have any kind of après on the mountain.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by that, especially because again, there's all the hotels right there. There's a lot of stuff there. So I
think it was a little COVID. I think it was a lot of COVID. So they also, because of the shortage of workers, they didn't have that one ice bar, which was written up as one of the top 5 après in the world in Condé Nast, which I was surprised. And that wasn't open. It was still snowed in and just wasn't cleared. There's a lot of things that we saw that just, I don't think they had the manpower to clear everything. I mean, they got the snow around Christmas, so it was pretty fresh, and there's a lot of work to clear all that snow. They got dumped on. Was it 90 inches, 99 inches, something like that? So
you think, and by COVID, you mean really just not being able to get employees, right?
That plus restrictions. I think people are just not,
Still, huh?
I don't know about restrictions because, again, my friend, I just talked to her last night, and she was there at Beaver Creek, and she goes, there was no restrictions, no masks. Everyone was partying at the Ritz-Carlton, and she said it was, it was a great time.
That's cool.
And they're
Like,
both Vail
she was-
resorts, Beaver Creek and Crested Butte. So it's not like it's Vail versus Altera or Vail versus private.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
I wonder too, maybe it's
that area is
further,
a
like
little
off the
easier.
beaten path a bit more. Crested Butte compared to Beaver Creek.
Yeah, Beaver
is
Creek's
definitely-
more. Yeah. I
Yeah,
would imagine
more.
more central.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's easier to get employees there, or maybe there's just that's what Vail's shuffling people into certain areas that has a higher, again, more people, more visitors, more possibility, and for revenue.
Yeah. I mean, the way the town was built out, it looked like it should be, a little more active, but it was just kind of quiet, and maybe it was off week too, like between holidays and stuff. So I don't know.
And how were the weights for you guys for lift lines? I know you guys had guides, so you probably avoided them, right?
Yeah, the first day and a half we had guides, so we were cutting lines, and the Saturday was a little busy, but that's when they just dropped the line on a whole bunch of stuff. So we got to hit those and cut the line with the guides. And then that next day, it was a Sunday, so it wasn't as busy. So that was kind of cool. Just kind of went around. Lift lines weren't that bad. Like even on the weekends, they weren't like terrifying. They were just
It's a place that I would say I definitely want to go back, and I want to go back when all this stuff is behind us.
Yeah.
Because the mountain was great, people are great. The town was not far away. The bus was very convenient, every 15 minutes. I would stay downtown next time. And
That's Mario, what
there's
you said
plenty of-
too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a place you could spend a week. Because there is the cross-country skiing, there is different things you could do in the town.
Snowmobile and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Snowmobiling galore. And you have the mountain, and you also have the back mountain. So you could take a day doing a back mountain, hike and ski and just get like maybe 2 runs in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that could easily, take 6 to 8 hours. So there's a lot there that I would say I would go back again.
Yeah.
And they also too,
versus-
Mario, you mentioned it last time, is that they have that backcountry tour, right? That goes from Crested Butte all the way to Aspen.
Yeah, that's like an event they have. They have a bunch
it's in
of
like
events.
April. They actually have a race, right? I think I looked it up.
Yeah. It's like a
it's like-
race where some people race, some people just do it, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting though. It's a big deal. It's not. There was an article that someone was commenting on how they acted like it was like a little stroll that you could like walk to
Yeah.
from Aspen to Crested
Very
Butte.
easy. Just walk
It's
there.
not a stroll at all. It's like 40 miles.
The
and it's
Grand
like super
Traverse, it's called.
Yeah.
That's
and
an
it's pretty
extreme
thick
kind of
terrain.
thing.
40 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 40 miles. I mean,
2 days.
And-
Yeah. But that seems like such a cool thing to do. Like now, again, say you're not doing the race. I don't know what the yurt situation is there. If you can like kind of take it easy and take your time and do it in a couple, like 3 or 4 days, or
You're right. Do a
Maybe
do a
I'm
little
just
warming yurt for night and just kind
Yeah.
of keep going the next day.
bring your Saint
No,
Bernard
no.
with like a little barrel of glue vine underneath its neck.
yeah.
What was nice too is there's a lot of open land around it, and a lot of it is either government owned or privately owned, where they don't want public access. So it seems like it's a place that's going to stay the way it is probably for a pretty long time. The whole town is classified as historic, so they can't do any knock down and build some massive thing in there. So it's pretty set for how big it's going to get almost.
Yeah.
Mountain Village, I would imagine can grow or change a little bit, but I don't think there's a lot of space up there either.
Yeah, we were looking at the map too last week, and you're just seeing how much of the land is available for development. And again, it's like a Jackson or a Telluride, you kind of have just this little sliver available for residential development, and everything else is just green.
Yeah.
National state parks, all that.
You got to buy land from a rancher or something like that, and they don't want to sell. Let's put it that way.
I think there's more of a chance of a bus shuttle from Gunnison and just growing out Gunnison for like low income and
Yeah.
just figuring out a bus system for them.
What
'Cause
about
it's
an Elon Musk Hyperloop?
Boom. Hyperloop
Subway.
everywhere works.
Just underground, man. Just go underground. You're avoiding the
What's it?
snow. There's
Why
no
have lifts? Why
I
have
like a
lifts?
subway. I mean, in Switzerland, they have all those crazy like within the mountain. What's that? The inclinator or whatever they call that thing.
The cog train that they have going up, and
They had the cog train, but there's the one that was like in the mountain that like kind of took us up.
Oh, the funicular.
Funicular. How about like
Yeah.
something like that? Like we need to bury stuff so it's out of sight.
It was kind of weird, but it was like, all right, it's getting us there. Like you're in a
yeah,
mine.
we need engineers that are politicians. All right, I think that's our problem. We have
It's
politicians
never
that
gonna
are
happen.
politicians. We don't have engineers.
Yeah, right.
Like
I never understood like why lift versus just putting a tunnel that you run all the way up and then it gets snowed over.
Pneumatic tube.
Jumps, in a tube, and you have like a train that goes back and forth. Boom.
Thank God Elon Musk has like 7 kids. We're gonna need those fuckers in a couple decades.
That's right.
We gotta hope that one of them is as smart as him.
I'll take
training.
half. Would you say, Steve? Did you have a favorite spot, restaurant, or bar, après, any sort of in town or on the mountain?
I think it was the elevation was on the mountain. Food was good, service was good. Wish there was a little bit more action there. That was pretty good. As far as
they didn't have live music, which I was surprised.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. There was no après. There's no.
We're done with skiing.
The energy.
You
look around; they have a good setup. Not a single live music.
This is
venue.
This is the whole problem with why we need more ski bums. Like you need a guy playing a guitar. Like
hey man, I'm not getting paid by the hotel. I'm just playing.
Just find them. Just bring them in from somewhere.
What's that?
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer.
And that I think that's part of why it was quiet, right? It was quiet on the mountain. People were like, "All right, they're done skiing." They went back down the mountain to the hotel in the village, and they, a lot of people did operate down there. I think.
No, monkey knife fights. Anything happening? Like
everything. The sidewalks rolled up around 9. There's a few places stayed up after, and that was it. Very quiet.
I would say talk of the town. That was the most fun place.
Yeah.
Talk of the town.
We took the drunk bus, the drunk taxi one day. Yeah. That was cool. That reminded me of Killington with the free shuttles where they take in everybody's just drunk in there. It's like a drunk tank.
On wheels, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk of the town. Oh, like epic beers you guys had? Anything that stood out that people shouldn't miss?
We were having some nice bourbons.
Nice bourbons?
We had a lot of bourbons. And then we switched to gin one night. That was a mistake. Yeah, there's some good local beers. I mean, they had some solid ones. What was that one that I think I had one in the airport in Gunnison? No, not in Gunnison, in Denver. That was a Colorado beer.
Yeah. I still haven't gotten my luggage.
Blue Moon? You still haven't gotten your luggage?
No, it's gone.
No, they lost our luggage on the way there. It's gone. Yeah.
I thought they delivered it to you.
No.
I got mine. He didn't get his.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, still going through the process.
They're still looking for it.
Like your snowboard and everything?
They keep on texting me. We're still looking for your luggage.
It's like one of those, it's like finding a missing person, you know? If you don't find it in the first 48 hours, hope just falls off a cliff, right?
Exactly.
So it wasn't your snowboard and stuff, was it?
Everything in there.
Everything.
Oh.
Whole boat.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. They suck. They suck at luggage.
Yeah, United.
Good with flying people there, bad with flying luggage there.
So how does
I'll give you guys the update next time I go on the podcast.
See if they find it.
Yeah, I seriously want to hear the whole process, how this works, how they refund you. Like, I want to know how this all goes down.
So if anybody finds Steve's bag, let us know. Just text us. Just write us an email.
I'll
be
go
sure
through
to pick
the
it
whole
up.
process. As of now, I called them. I talked to them. They said they're going to call Texas, because that's where their hub is for, like, they have a big warehouse of the Lost Misfit toys
Oh
or
wow.
luggage. And
Just go down there, just pick stuff out. But like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
mine. That's
and you
mine.
know,
Find one.
I
they
got
weren't
that one of
there.
those.
It wasn't there either. And I said, okay. I said, can I have a refund on what I paid for the luggage? Because I paid, like, for some reason they charged me $135 to move my luggage. I was like, and they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. I think
So you lost
you
my
should leave.
luggage. You charged me,
Right.
and then you lost my luggage, and you're not even going to
Right.
refund me the price that you charged me to lose the luggage. So I
Yeah,
paid
so
you
it's
to
one
lose the
big
luggage.
Yeah, so
You
it's
can't
one
even give me
big
that money back.
claim. You put it in there, you fill out this form. It's really long. You have to identify every single thing you had in there. You
That's
have to
so
put receipts if you
ridiculous.
have them. If you have
Christ.
them.
Who has
And
a receipt for all their shit that they're skiing with, like, or boarding with, right? Like, you put it in the bag. You're like, I didn't remember to keep all the receipt on this stuff. I'm boarding.
and we'll see what happens. They're going to do their investigation.
The investigation, the investigative minds
Yeah, we should
of
definitely
the
do a
airlines.
recap on that. Find out
Yeah,
what the
Yeah.
process is. 'Cause that
Um,
sucks. Oh, sorry to hear that.
yeah. Hopefully
That's right.
it turns up, but I'm not hopeful at this point.
48 hours, man. The
48
first 48
hours.
hours is the most important. All right. So, any other closing remarks, comments about the Butte?
Oh, in Colorado general, don't rely on Uber because I don't think a lot of people are driving Uber now. That's what
Thanks,
we were banking
COVID.
on. Yeah, thanks, COVID. What did we do? The mountain shuttle. So look for a local shuttle and book that because you're not going to be guaranteed getting Uber. So we found that out the hard way.
That's kind of another thing why you were saying staying in the town
Yeah,
may have advantages because everything is at least semi-walkable, right?
yeah. Well, there they have that free bus that goes around, which is kind of nice. It takes you up to the mountain and back and through town. You take it just up and down town.
How long does that bus run?
I think it ran till what,
So
10 or 11 at
11.
night.
Yeah, I think like 11:30. That's it.
Yeah, and probably early, like before the mountain opens. To get everybody up there.
Right.
So it was pretty cool. It was all day. 15-minute increments. So it's very nice
For
to
me,
have.
it's a mountain that I definitely want to visit again after
Yeah.
COVID.
Give it another
'Cause
shot.
it had all the things that you like. They had a downtown that was really manageable, really cool. A lot of different places to eat.
Yeah,
And
there
you
were a
like
lot
that
of places.
downtown feel, right? You like that downtown feel, quaint. You feel like you're in a mountain town that's really cool, and it's not phony. It's an old town, and then you have a great mountain, similar to Telluride in that way, or a steamboat, but smaller, really manageable, really easy. You could walk the whole town in a night.
Yeah.
It's not a city like a steamboat.
But it is isolated too.
Yeah, exactly, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's nice when you're there, right? Getting there could be a little dicey. So, correction from our last podcast where I said, oh, it's only like 2.5 hours from Denver. Well, that's what it says in the summer from Denver. Jeff
As
from
the
our
crow
trip
flies.
said it's really
Yeah.
about 5 hours because they close a bunch of passes. So you got to drive around. So I'm glad we didn't rent a car and drive from Denver because that would have been pretty miserable. It would have
Did
been
you
like
guys actually
yeah,
consider
5 or
that?
6. Yeah, we did.
Oof.
But that would have turned into what we thought would be like a 2.5-hour drive would have been like 5 hours or something like that.
You might have gotten your luggage though.
Yes.
We might have.
Yeah,
I think we
got the
would have.
luggage.
Yeah.
So, there are trade-offs.
See, that could have been it's a trade-off. I don't know. Then again, it was Steve's luggage, so I was fine. So
Right.
Fuck him. I mean, it's not really
fuck
my
him, I didn't
problem.
give I didn't really care.
We had free rental, so it was all right.
See?
Yeah, they did hook us up. It was really good what
So?
they did. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's super nice. I mean, the people at the mountain were salt of the earth. I mean, we met the GM. We hung out with her, skied with her for a while, and spoke to her. Tara Schrodinger. She was phenomenal. She was there scanning tickets one day. Like it was really good to talk to them. They got a big adaptive ski area too, ski facility. So that was kind of nice. Steve's done. He dropped off. He had to run.
Yeah, it sounds like a great trip. And, we're wrapping it up too. And unfortunately couldn't make it out there. But yeah, if you guys go back, I think I'm definitely in for the next trip because this place does sound amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was great to be there.
Awesome. Well, it was great hearing more information about it. Thank you guys for all the info. Thank you everyone for listening. We do appreciate it. Check us out, skibumpodcast.com. Check us out on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Untapped at Ski Bum Podcast. Send us an email, skibumpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you to Terracea. Go to terracea.com. Use the code TerraceaBum, 15% off. Thank you to Paradise Skis. Go to paradiseskis.com. Use the code SKIBUM15, 15% off. Thank you guys so much. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Stay high, stay falutin'.
See ya.